She made 5 strikes with that piece of asphalt, and finally she said, I want to see her brains flow, and she, with all her might, hit Colleen in the head and cracked her skull, and gray matter did spill from Colleen's head.
The human mind is a very strange place. One could be friends or family members with another person for so long and believe they know everything about them, until they find out that it was a lie and that they barely knew the person. It is situations like this that make humans quite scary. Welcome back to the Crime Lab channel. In today's video, we will be looking at the story of the girl who got jealous of her friend, leading to her torturing her. This particular case is a bit different from most of the cases we have shown you on this channel. If anything, it might be worse than most of them. A friend is someone that most people place their trust in, and I bet this girl did the same to her jealous friend. Unfortunately, that ended badly for her. The girl we are speaking of is Christa Pike, born on 10th March 1976. She is also the youngest woman to be sentenced to death in the United States during the post-Furman period. She was 20 when she was convicted of the torture murder of a classmate. She was known to have lived a troubled life and even dropped out of high school. Her father was out of the picture, and her mother was an alcoholic and drug user, spending all of her time partying and neglecting her daughter. Christa's grandmother raised her until she was 12, but when her grandmother passed away, Christa was forced to go back into the care of her mother, where they started smoking marijuana. She joined the Job Corps in Knoxville, Tennessee, a government program aimed at helping low-income youth by offering vocational training and career skills. She began dating a man younger than her by a year named Tatterall Shipp, a self-proclaimed Satan worshiper. Together, they developed an interest in the occult and devil worship. Christa started calling herself Lil Devil, while Tatterall kept a shrine to Satan in his dorm room. However, it was at this point that things started taking a turn for the bad. Christa became jealous of 19-year-old COLLEEN SLEMMER, whom she thought was trying to steal her boyfriend from her, even though friends of SLEMMER denied the accusations. COLLEEN SLEMMER came to Knoxville, Tennessee from Florida to attend classes at the Job Corps Center. She had enrolled in computer training and had only been there for 3 months before the incident. Shatala Peterson, a friend of Christa's from Job Corps, agreed to help her plot, and Christa planned to lure SLEMMER to an isolated, abandoned steam plant near the University of Tennessee campus. On January 12, 1995, Christa, Tatterall, Shatala, and COLLEEN signed out of the dormitory and headed to the woods, where COLLEEN was told they wanted to make peace by offering her some marijuana. The chosen location was so isolated no one would have been able to hear her screams. Upon arrival at the secluded location, Christa turned to COLLEEN and started making accusations about her wanting her boyfriend. Although this was found to be untrue, the ruse was planned by the 3 conspirators to take their victim by surprise. Christa and Tatterall attacked COLLEEN, while Shatala acted as the lookout. According to later court testimony, COLLEEN was taunted, beaten, and slashed for the next 30 minutes, and a pentagram was carved in her chest and forehead. COLLEEN was forced by her attackers to remove her shirt and bra. Then Christa pulled out a box cutter she had brought along and began to stab and cut COLLEEN all over her body, while also making cuts into the crotch of her pants. She used a meat cleaver to slash COLLEEN's stomach and chest. It was later determined that she endured hundreds of stab wounds all over her body while she was still alive. Christa recalled later, and I said, "Shut up. I don't want to hear you talking to me. You know, it's harder to hurt somebody when they're talking to you." During the assault, COLLEEN got up and tried to escape, but was forced back down to the ground. Her hairband was removed from her head and stuffed into her mouth to keep her quiet. Finally, Christa used a slab of nearby concrete and smashed it multiple times into her victim's head.
A large piece of asphalt that was discarded on the side of the road. She made 5 strikes with that piece of asphalt, and finally she said, I want to see her brains flow, and she, with all her might, hit Colleen in the head and cracked her skull, and gray matter did spill from Colleen's head.
As COLLEEN took her last dying breaths, Christa took a piece of COLLEEN's skull as a souvenir, then cut her throat multiple times. Despite the gash in her neck, COLLEEN tried to sit up but was shoved back by one of her assailants. After they were confident that she was dead, Christa, Tataro, and Shadala walked to a nearby gas station. She washed away the evidence, disposing of COLLEEN's ID and the murder weapon. A student at Job Corps recalled Christa dancing around the room when she returned to the dorms. She bragged to the other students that she had part of human skull in her possession and was even showing it off to a classmate the following day. In the early hours of January 13th, a campus employee stumbled upon what he believed to be the remains of an animal. When the police arrived at the scene, they discovered COLLEEN's partially nude body. Her face was unrecognizable, as she had been bashed to death and her throat deeply cut. Christa showed up in the crowd of onlookers, asking police if they had any suspects. One officer even testified that she appeared pleased as she looked upon the crime scene. Within 36 hours, the three were arrested. The logbook showed that 4 people left together, and only 3 returned. Detectives also found the piece of skull in Christa's jacket pocket. The suspects' rooms were searched, and a copy of the Satanic Bible was found in Tataro's room, while the bloody and muddy jeans she had been wearing during the torture and murder were recovered from Christa's. Soon after her arrest, Christa confessed to the torture and killing of COLLEEN, but insisted they were merely trying to scare her. And it got out of control. She admitted the killing had lasted for over 30 minutes and that she was frustrated by the fact that COLLEEN would not die quick enough. The police took her to the crime scene to recreate the murder, and then she led them to where she had discarded the ID of the victim. Christa later told the investigator, "I don't want to say that I intended to kill her, but I would say that I didn't care if she died. I wouldn't lose any sleep over it if she did."
I knew exactly what I was doing. Everything that I did that night, I knew what I was doing.
Upon examination, the Knox County medical examiner, Dr. Elkins, eventually lost count of how many knife wounds were on the body. Christa Pike's murder trial began on March 22, 1996, and the prosecution was aided by evidence and her confession. Christa was charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Dr. Elkins testified on the stand that she had to completely remove the skull from the body to have it put back together. Several segments of her skull were lodged into the brain matter as well. Dr. Elkins presented the piece of skull Christa had removed to demonstrate to the jury that it was an exact match to the missing section of the reconstructed skull of the victim. It was evident that Christa had little to no remorse for the part that she played. Although she cried during certain moments in her trial, most believe it was an act. On March 22, 1996, the jury found Christa guilty on both counts after only a few hours of deliberation. As soon as she returned to her cell, she began writing a letter to Tataro. It was never delivered to its intended recipient, but was intercepted and sent to the Knox County District Attorney General. The letter was later read aloud at a subsequent hearing for Christa. An extract from the letter goes thus: "Please write me. I miss you so much. You see what I get for trying to be nice to thou. I went ahead and bashed her brains out so she die quickly instead of letting her bleed to death and suffer more. And they fucking fry me. Ain't that some shit? Please write me and tell me what you're feeling. Also, tell your lawyer if he wants me to testify for you. I will. Love you for the rest of my life. Lil Devil." On March 30th, Christa was sentenced to death by electrocution for the murder charge and 25 years in prison for the conspiracy charge. Tataro received a life sentence with the possibility of parole plus 25 years. Shadala, who had turned informant, received probation for pleading guilty to being an accessory after the fact. A fitting ending for such a heinous act, don't you think? To make things worse, Christa attacked and attempted to strangle fellow inmate Patricia Jones with a shoestring on August 24, 2001, and nearly succeeded in choking her to death. She was convicted of attempted first-degree murder on August 12, 2004. It seems old habits die hard. Thank you for watching this video. Hit us up in the comment section and give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos.